All right, everybody. Welcome to 75 Week. Glad everybody's settled in their seats and ready for today's press conference. Obviously, an important week for Marshall University. Everybody knows the history and what this community is built on, and the 75 is the foundation of everything. Want to invite everybody to Thursday's ceremony at noon and to talk about this week's game against Coastal Carolina. Here's Coach Huff.
Welcome everybody here. Appreciate you guys being here. Obviously, a very important week here for us. Before we get started, I just want to take the opportunity to congratulate Mike Green, another national award nominated today for the Bednarik Semifinalist Award for the College Defensive Player of the Year. A tremendous honor for him, his coaches, his teammates, this university. So really excited about his continued success and his national recognition. We talk with our team all the time about with team success comes individual accolades, and he's definitely deserving of all that he is getting. Also want to take the opportunity to congratulate Vinny Curry on his upcoming retirement with the Philadelphia Eagles. Obviously, Vinny, a legend here, who this university means a lot to him, has changed his life, and he is still very active and supportive in supporting what we're trying to do here, not only from a football standpoint, but a university standpoint as well. Obviously, getting into the 75 week, a tremendous opportunity for Marshall University to recognize, celebrate, honor a story that no one else in the country is able to do. I talked to the team yesterday. Obviously, we have some guys who have been here and fully understand what this event and week mean to the people here, this university, this community. But we have some new guys, so getting them to understand what they're a part of. I explained it to them. You know, when you marry into a family, you marry into those family traditions, those families' memories and history. And that's what these guys have done by choosing to come here at Marshall, whether they've been here 6 months, 2 years, or 8 months, whatever it may be. So obviously we did some things this summer to introduce and really dive into what the 75 memorial and what the 75 week, what the 75 game means, not only to this community, but to this football program. We are because they were. So this summer we had an opportunity. We took the whole team out to the crash site. Keith Morehouse was gracious enough to speak to the team out there and really pour from his heart what that event means to him and his family. We also went to the cemetery this summer as a team. Dr. Rev Harvey imparted some knowledge on us from that standpoint. On Friday night before the game, we will go back to the cemetery. Mark Gale, obviously a legend around here, is going to spend some time with us there. We also have some guests coming by this week. So today, after practice, Alan Meadows will come by. Obviously, Alan was the first scholarship player after the crash here. On Wednesday, Mr. Martin will come by. Mr. Martin was a freshman on the team when the crash happened. So he has a very unique story. Said goodbye to those guys, went home for the weekend, didn't get an opportunity to see those guys again. And then Coach Pruitt will speak to the team on Thursday after practice. Coach Pruitt's actual last game he played here was the spring game after the 75, which they did not have enough members to play a spring game, so they converted that to a alumni game, if you remember. Coach Pruitt was playing professionally, and he came back to be a part of that alumni game. So trying to make sure not only the players that have been here, the Logan Osborns, the Toby Paynes, the Ethan Paynes, are able to continue to grow with their knowledge and their experiences through this week, but also for the new guys to be able to really understand what this is all about. I told them every school has a homecoming, every school has a stripe out, every school has a whiteout, every school has Spirit Week, every school has Military Appreciation Week, but only Marshall has 75 Week, and that's something that they'll be able to carry with them the rest of their lives beyond their playing days. So obviously a tremendous opportunity to go out and honor the 75. Also a tremendous challenge. A very good football team coming in. Coach Tim Beck has done a phenomenal job in his tenure there. I've known Coach Beck through coaching for a long time. A lot of respect for him, his staff, and what they've been able to do this season. Obviously, there's been some changes now. He's calling the offense, which that's his background. You can see his fingerprints on it each week that he gets an opportunity to call it. He gets a little bit more and more in his realm of what he likes to do. Obviously, he's done it at a very high level, so he's going to have a phenomenal game plan. Defensively, they challenge you with their athleticism. They challenge you each week. There's a little different approach to how they attack offenses. And then on special teams, they play extremely hard and physical. This is the one team that we have not beat in the Sun Belt East. So obviously they have had a lot of success against us, and we're going to have to play extremely well to change that on Saturday. So with that, I'd open up for questions.
You've done this for a few years now, and you mentioned, highlighted the new kids that are experiencing this game for the first time. How have you learned how to manage maybe the expectations and the pressure that's put on these kids for the significance of this game?
Yeah, I'll be honest. I screwed it up year one. I made it so much about winning the game that I didn't give them a chance to understand you honor someone by how you do something. And I made it so much about we have to win this game, which is ultimately the goal. But when you put so much pressure on having to win, you kind of paralyze your team. When you get them to understand that you honor someone, we just had Veterans Day. We honored our veterans. When you have a birthday or an anniversary, you honor someone by how you do something. So I related it to all of these guys want to honor their parents and their moms. You honor your mother by how you live your life every day. So we get an opportunity to honor the 75 by how we play this game with the right discipline, the right execution, the right preparation, the right toughness. If we focus on that, the byproduct will take care of itself. If we just focus on winning the game, we're going to miss so many steps. And I think after the first year, I really went back and said, okay, the messaging cannot be just about winning. Obviously, everyone knows that's the goal. It's very important. But when you're talking to a group of adolescents, kids, if you put it in the world of if you don't win this game, it puts a lot of pressure on them. On top of the pressure that they get walking around this community, on top of the pressure they get from putting that helmet on. So it's my job to make sure, yes, there is pressure. We're in an environment where there is pressure. It's my job to make sure that we can still focus on the things that manage the pressure. How we prepare this week, how we watch film, how we take care of our bodies, how we practice, how we go out and execute, what's our level of discipline. Those things are what we're focusing on now. We've done that the last few years, which has obviously helped us play better. Ultimately, the game's going to come down to execution. But if we focus on the things to help us execute, we'll be in a better mindset or a better space to manage the emotions that come with this week.
Along those same lines, Coach, how hard is it from a staff to make sure that they're emotionally they're right, because they go through ebbs and flows all week long. Then game time, you got to turn it on. Is that one of the more difficult things about this week?
Yeah, I think we do it the way we do it so that it's not just 1 week of 75. We do it in the summer, so it starts to kind of set in. When they're sitting in their dorm rooms or they're sitting in their apartments over the summer, they can think about, wow, if I was in that situation, how would I feel? We do it in camp. We take a week in camp and kind of make it the 75 week. We have some videos that have been made that kind of explain it. when the freshmen come in, or newcomers, we call them freshmen, newcomers come in, whether they're transfers or truly high school guys in the summer, they watch the movie. So that gets them from an understanding of, what does this mean? And then we go to the cemetery. So it's more spreading out the teaching and the understanding, the lessons, rather than 1 week of just hammering them with, the 75. What that does is it allows them to personally translate what it means to them over time. You think about it like a course in college, right? You just don't have 1 week and then you take the final. You have a course which over time, you work towards a goal. So for us to be able to keep this this moment in time alive, to me, it's better to do it over time. I think it also helps them understand the importance of it. If you only talk about something for 1 week, it's like, okay, well, obviously that was last week. This is, but if you talk about something constantly, and this is something that in this community, obviously this is a constant. We just happen to honor it this week, but it's with us every day. It's with us every week we go out and play. It's with them. It's with all of our students every time they walk by the fountain. So for us in this building, we got to make sure that we stay consistent with the true vibe and the true meaning that's surrounding them.
When you look at Coastal's defense, obviously several playmakers on that, but does anything in particular stand out about their scheme, about, kind of the fits they're trying to get into?
Yeah, I think I obviously got a lot of respect for their team. They've won a lot of games. They've battled this year. I got a lot of respect for their linebackers. I mean, they play hard and downhill. Whenever you have good linebacker play, you have good D-line play. Because typically there's a reason why nobody's blocking the linebackers. Part of it is their athleticism and their ability. A lot of it is how they engage fronts and gaps up front. So a lot of respect for their front seven. I think their secondary plays extremely athletic. They play a lot of man coverage. They do some things that kind of mix up. It's not always man, but they do some things that kind of mix up. And when you play man coverage, you have to have a lot of talent, because it's one guy gets beat or one guy gives up a step. It's a huge opportunity. But I think collectively, with the pressure they put on you with their front seven, and then the athleticism and the competitiveness on the back, it makes it really challenging to do just what you may normally do. You've got to adjust some things. So that's what we've seen this year. Obviously, new staff the last couple of years of this year and last year before then a little bit different. But you can definitely tell there is a new kind of schematic emphasis with the new staff that's definitely putting pressure on people.
Coach, you were able to play a lot of guys there on Saturday, and this kid's been sprinkled in a lot, and you've had a lot of local kids that have been really good for your program since you've been here. But Braden Ward, can you talk a little bit about this guy? Because he was sort of at Riverside. They didn't have a lot of success from wins-losses standpoint, but he was somebody that was on a lot of radars, and comes to Marshall, and I think got a little glimpse of maybe what his bright future is all about.
Yeah, I think for him, our process works. He's a guy that came to camp and we got a chance to see live. Sometimes it's difficult to, see a kid just off of film and say yay or nay. Sometimes it's difficult for a kid who may be playing in, the middle of two places, Wyoming or somewhere. You may only see a kid that's 5'11", so you may think you're the tallest kid in the country, but the reality is you're not. So we got a chance to get Braden here to go against some of the other top recruits we were recruiting. And his athleticism, his size, his effort, his toughness kind of jumped off. He had been a basketball player, so he really hadn't trained, his body into a football world because he was doing both. But we saw potential. We said if this kid gets into the weight room and this kid is all football, not saying basketball is bad, but if this kid is really, all football, he's going to grow. He's going to continue to get developed. His skill set's going to improve. He came in. Obviously, last year he redshirted and kind of, developed his body and his skill set. And towards the end of last year, it started to click. Obviously we had a lot of really good players in front of him, Owen Porter, Alston, Burton, those type of guys, so he didn't get as much of an opportunity. But over the summer, he really started to turn the corner. And then obviously through camp, and he's been doing a really good job for us. So to get him in some game action, obviously the question is always the experience piece, right? You can do it in practice and you can move the weights around, but we don't get to dictate what the other team does in a game. So you got to be able to have some experience and react. And just over time, he's developed, that experience and that reaction ability. And to be able to get him in a game Saturday for multiple reps, he's played sparingly throughout the year, but to get him some multiple reps, right? So now he's got to be able, to take a play, not make a play, rebound, reload, see the signal, process, formation, signal, motion. He had to put all that together, and I thought he did a really good job. Obviously, made a tremendous play. I don't know if he thought he was going up for a rebound or he was going to get an interception, but whatever it was, I'm okay with it. But it was really good, and I think Coach Street's done a really good job of developing the young guys as well as the Mike Greens and the Jabari Ismails, and then our older guys do a really good job. When they see young guys that are willing to work, they invest their time, which to me goes farther than a coach investing his time, because when your peers invest time in you, that means they see something in you, they respect you. So you usually have a little bit more retention, when the older guys are telling them the exact same thing a coach is telling them typically. But it really hits home a little bit different. So that was really good. Really proud of him. His parents have been tremendous supporters. So really proud of him. Really happy to see, what's next for him.
When you get down to the core of what Coastal's trying to do on offense, how would you describe how they're going to maybe try to find their success? I know there's some changes there, but at their core, what did they try to do? Where you lay legs?
Yeah, I think they're trying to be efficient with the run game. I think they do a really good job of putting you in conflict with making sure your rules and your gap soundness across the board is good. I think they do a really good job, formation, shift, adjustment, keeping you off balance. I think they also do a good job. Coach Beck's done this for a long time. Each week they attack each team a little bit different. So they do a really good job not just saying, hey, we're going to run our plays and, you may be better than us in this spot or you may have an advantage. They try to find your disadvantages or your deficiencies. And they're also the good offenses have plays off of plays. So you can't just say, hey, when they line up in this formation, this is what they're doing. They have plays that complement those plays, which typically slows your defense down because I got to make sure that it's not a play action. I got to make sure that it's not, a run or whatever it may be. So I think they've done a really good job, especially the last couple of weeks as they've been through a transition, which I think has helped them. And now you're in that lane. Typically the teams you play week 10, 11, 12, you got 10 games that you can go back to and say, hey, this is what they do. Really, this is like playing game 3 for us. You really don't know what the next step of their offense is going to be just because it's only been 2 weeks that Coach Beck has been kind of calling it. It's a little bit different than what it was the last 7 weeks. So you really got to kind of say, you don't want to chase ghosts, but you got to look at, okay, this is level 1 and 2, what's 3 and 4, so you can prepare your players.
Coach, with that, also the quarterback is seems to be a guy that obviously got to keep an eye on. Is it to the point where it's almost he runs a little wishbone? You almost have to have a spy on him pretty much throughout the game?
Yeah, I think you got to have eyes on him. You got to be disciplined. We saw him last year and he hurt us. He's got the mobility to create with his legs. He's got a strong arm. He's a willing runner. When I say willing runner, he's not just going to go up and slide. He's going to try to get the tough yards. He's bigger than you kind of want. He's a borderline hybrid tight end body. But he's also, I would call it very versed in what they're trying to do. So he's not just making a lot of bad decisions, not turning the ball over a lot. He's really efficient with his throws and his decision making, which makes it tough because you'd like to be able to get a situation where, if you change the picture, you change the look, maybe it confuses him a little bit, but he's well versed in what they're trying to do. You can see the team rallies around him. He's tough. He's gotten hit a few times and popped right back up. And then obviously when you're at this point in the season, the ability to grind out, yards, drives, series. He shows all of that.
Obviously, with this week comes the season debut of the black uniforms. You used parts of those at different times last year, whether it was pants or a helmet somewhere. But is there something special about? Because it seems like the players have chosen to save that for this week. Is there just an added importance, or just anything to that?
In the past, my philosophy was after the first three games we were traditional uniforms, out of respect for community and fans and the tradition. In the past, after the first three games, I let the leadership committee, basically the captains, decide what the uniforms were. I think the players in the building sweating, bleeding up here at night should have some ownership of their program. We've changed that this year and been kind of more traditional across the board. I'll say that. So we've only used the black for the 75. In the past, it was more of a bone to the players. You win the game, you decide on the uniforms. You guys have a great practice, you decide on the uniforms. We've changed that a little bit this year just to kind of be a little bit more traditional. So obviously this is an opportunity for us to wear the black. That's been a tradition here even before I got here. So I don't know if it'll be the debut because we've worn them in the past, but for this year it'll be the debut of the black uniforms. I do think this year I asked Coach Red Dawson to help design the helmet that we wear. Every year the helmet design is a little bit different. So this year Coach Red Dawson was involved in selecting not the exact, but what decal, what he was involved in that process. I think that allows us to, a lot of the decisions that are made, none of us were here. So for us to be sole decision makers without involving or seeking counsel from people that it truly means something to, I think that would be incorrect. So I wanted Coach Dawson to at least be involved, and he was happy. It was it was funny the day we did it. He was in the training room and they had him try on the helmet without the face mask, and he said, "Well, this is what I used to play in." So it was a good moment. But again, I want to try. I wasn't here, so I'm not going to dictator mentality what we do and don't do. I think asking the people who truly were connected to the event to be involved as much as possible. Obviously, there's things that we've got to continue to do based on where we are in, with football and rules and change and all of that. But that's why I asked Keith to come out and speak to the team at the crash. I could have stood up there and gave a history lesson. But to me, when it comes from the heart, when it comes from, true passion, the message hits home. So when Coach Red was at least able to be involved in the helmet design for our players, and we explained it to him. We explained that he helped design this helmet that you're going to wear when you're honoring his brothers. So hopefully that should carry a little more weight, that he actually had a hand in it.
All right. Anything further for Coach Huff?
All right. Well, again, I appreciate you guys being here. I appreciate every student, every fan that has been here this year in the Joan. Obviously, this is our last opportunity as a family to have our moment. There's no other school in the country. So I hope and pray that every person within a stone's throw of Huntington, West Virginia will be here to honor our moment, because no other school can have a game like this, no other school can have a moment like this. So we should show the world how important it is to us. Students, I appreciate you guys for coming out as well. Look forward to seeing everybody Saturday. Thanks. Go Herd.